I'm reading this here. Okay. Somebody. So Rezzy's got a podcast, right?
Right.
Yeah.
All right. So I want to talk about news, like wrestling media news. Sourcing stories. Sources, multi-sourcing stories. I want to read you something. Okay. So this guy tweets Drain Bamager, whoever this guy is, right? Warner Brothers Discovery apparently wants long-term deal with AEW and plans to push them into the sport category with increased ad time. Absolutely amazing news. All right. Now this is where the story comes from, and I want to talk about like how news kind of travels and stories travel and stuff, everything, right? And I got nothing against John Arezzi. Okay, I like John Arezzi. That's a good guess, but I want to make a point here. This is the story. Okay, and actually, I'm not even sure who's, because I saw this the other day. I'm not sure who this is from. Well, what news source this is from? But I saw this story written almost in identical form. All right, on John Arezzi's Pro Wrestling Spotlight podcast, there was a conversation about Warner Brothers Discovery running AEW ads during sports programming. Many ads have been airing during TBS coverage of the MLB playoffs. Pro Wrestling Spotlight co-host Bob Smith was Pro Wrestling Spotlighting this show. Okay, get the Who ready. Pro Wrestling Spotlight co-host Bob Smith wondered about the strategy to include footage of people going through tables and Chris Jericho attacking ring announcers. Arezzi said he's heard. Okay, so Arezzi's heard that Warner Brothers Discovery is very happy with the product and the ads are part of a strategy. They're trying to make it a sport, Arezzi said. That's what the strategy is. The strategy is that they're pushing AEW into the sports category, not the entertainment category. They're increasing that because of the new ownership, because Warner Brothers is now Warner Brothers Discovery. Arezzi continued, everything I hear of what's going on, even with TNT, is going to be turning into a more sports-centric network. So they are now putting their resources behind these promo announcements to increase ratings. So whether or not they're tasteful in regards to the violence and blood, there's a method to the madness. So that's the story, okay? All right. This is what I just, when people read that, I dissected that, okay? Is there anything in this story that sounds like there's a credible source, like maybe from the Time Warner Discovery people or executives that this is coming from? Or is somebody maybe like heard on a podcast somebody talk about this and they're saying, okay, this is what I heard. I'm asking you guys because, this is what I have to do. This is what I do right now. I literally, when I hear news, okay, and I hear news repeated, I examine, word for word what I'm being fed. And, whether or not I think this is a credible story or not, or, whether I should take it as fact, or whether or not I should, as it's being spread, should I speak up and say, hey, guys, are we sure that this is actually true or not, right? Because, this is media these days. This is how stories travel. And it's I'm listening to this, I'd like to talk. I'd like to get Arezzi on just to hear, is this you hearing stuff, or is this you hearing stuff from actual sources in Warner Brothers, Time Warner and stuff, that have repeated this, and this is their strategy? Because I haven't heard anything about this except John Arezzi saying I heard. I said, go ahead. What are your thoughts?
Well, this is like anything else. You got to take into question the person's credibility, right? So I know John. Mm-hmm. I've always found him to be very honest and outstanding. That doesn't mean he can't get wrong information. I don't think he would make anything up because it ruins his credibility. The guy's been in the business for 50 years. He's got a lot of connections, just like I have connections, just like you have connections. Mm-hmm. He managed country music stars that I don't know who they are, but they were big. Mm-hmm. So he might have some connection still to TNT.
And Warner Brothers.
When he managed them, Warner Brothers, and, he was in the Mets system, and he knows people. Yeah. So he might know somebody at Warner Disney that at one time worked with him in some capacity and told them. So when it comes to John, I don't have too much problem believing him because I know him and he's not but he could be given erroneous news like anybody else.
Exactly. Okay, right. Here's my point. If I was telling you, because here's the thing, everything, these are the words he's using, right? everything I hear is like the way he says it, right? Bro, I'm not gonna like and like I said, I got nothing against John Arezzi, okay? But I think this guy's hearing gossip because my thing is like if I had a source for a story, and like I had something I was gonna tell you, right? I mean, I would say I was told, okay, like somebody spoke to me and said this to me, and I'm telling you this is what was told to me. When I'm hearing everything I hear, I'm like, dude, that could be anybody like listening to podcasts and listening to people to, talking like that. That to me is like you're spreading gossip, And I'm not gonna say because like, bro, the story like I haven't seen anything beyond this. Like this to me would be something like of a story that like I think should be multi-sourced and like like put out there because like from the last thing we heard is that like Meltzer and stuff and multiple sites were reporting that it doesn't look good for the AEW rights fees coming up because if the Time Warner might be going into they might source it out to a streaming service.
It might be somebody told them, "Hey, I'm going to tell you this, but don't say anything," or who knows.
Honestly, I think it sounds like somebody listening to stuff and watching shows and saying this is what I've heard.
Okay. Well, that's
and I got nothing against John Arezzi.
But we don't know that, so.
But that's my thing. Right. So John Arezzi's like talking about this on his podcast.
Right.
He's not like spreading his like, hey, this is my and now people are listening to John Arezzi, okay, and now they're reporting the story. So like this to me is like how like how wacky it is that news travels, like how stories gestate, and then the next thing you know, you're retweeting it and repeating it. Like it sounds like, bro, I have no clue if anybody knows any of this is true, But like I said,
bro.
Like
but here's my thing, right? Mm-hmm. And I think you'll agree with this. It's very hard to respect anybody in wrestling media because wrestling media is like a wrestling podcaster, right? Mm-hmm. There is no qualification. You go to no school. Your only qualification is being a fan, not really, and whatever education you have in the business, which is like watching it on TV and going to shows. Mm-hmm. Most of the people have never even worked backstage at a major corporation, therefore do not know what the is going on. Okay. Mm-hmm. It's not about literacy. It's not about contacts. It's not about experience. It's not even about accountability because we've seen people have no problem going out there and making it up. Okay. Just like the general media and just like politicians. It's just be a fan. Make friends around the business, and there is nobody with any real very few people with credibility, like an Ariel Helwani. Like he has credibility to me, because Ariel does something that 90% of these bums don't do, and that's why they get zero respect from me, and they never will. And bro, we can go at it all day and all night. I really don't give a because I'm not the one. When you're not going to call a person to ask them their point of view, you have no credibility.
Right.
I'll give you an example. There's these guys, and we've brought them up before. One guy's a Canadian guy. One guy's a guy from, I think, Chicago. They're both American guys. They don't speak any Spanish. One of them is learning Spanish, uses the Google Translate. They both think they know what is going on in AAA, and they give very erroneous accounts of stuff that they think is happening. A lot of them is based on the fact that they dislike me personally. So they go into these things and other people believe them. I've seen Tony Khan congratulate them in person like what they say is gospel. Only one of them really goes to any of the matches. They don't understand the Mexican culture, the Mexican ideology. They don't understand what's going on in the company, but yet they act like they do. Now, when I've asked them, come on my show, let's discuss it. Whatever question you have,
right, and they don't do it,
I will answer, because if there's one that ain't gonna run, ain't gonna hide, and ain't gonna make it up, it's me. You'd want to talk to me because I'm not gonna give you no.
The source of stories is inviting you on the show to question you on the stories.
Yeah, and I'm not the type of guy that's gonna, like I've said, I've buried, and you've heard me. This show was not good. This wrestler was not good. That is brutally out of my mouth. Right, and I've left the promotion twice. So I've put my money where my mouth is. I don't just talk. But these guys would have you believe that's all I do. And so until you're going to ask people, what really happened, and not just put your thoughts into like this. I don't have respect for most of what you would consider wrestling media.
I don't either. Bro, if you're not willing to talk to the sources as opposed to talking about the sources, how on earth can anybody respect your opinion there?
Right.
I'm willing.
Everybody wants to be respected.
Right.
Everybody wants to clout chase. Everyone wants to create a buzz. Everybody wants to have a persona. Everybody wants to be part of the act. Everybody wants to get over. Everybody wants to be controversial. Put in the work.
Right, bro, because it just shows you that, perfect example, okay? I'm a skeptic.
Right.
I do not accept, I'm going to question.
Me too.
Me too. And, bro, skeptics are looked at as kind of like conspiracy theorists outside the echo chamber.
Right.
So when the skeptics are, you're having to challenge the echo chamber. Perfect example. Bro, look at all these stories now coming out about the vaccine and after the fact that the skeptics were right all along. And the echo chamber was invested in parroting the pharmaceutical companies' narratives, parroting the government's narratives, and now we're finding out on the back end that it was all, and the skeptics were right. But now the thing is, you can't get the echo chamber to admit the skeptics are right. It's like we're just always skeptics. We're not in the echo chamber. We're not the type of people that just accept what you're told and parrot it and, hey, oh yeah, that's great and everything. Bro, I challenge what people tell me. I ask questions. I use an interrogative method. They call the interrogative method. You just question what you're being told. And it's this is what the media is like. This is how you have to address this stuff going forward. You have to be skeptical. You can't accept, 30% of the people trust the media these days. So why on earth would you be parroting media narratives? It's 7 out of 10 people don't believe you. The 30% are like, oh, well, this is, I'm like, I'm saying like this story here. Nothing against John Arezzi. I'm just he was. This is somebody talking about John Arezzi talking on a podcast, and they're parroting it as a story. And I'm like, well, what if John Arezzi was just talking, not reporting, and this is how travels. So it's I don't know. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that anyone who Konnan mentioned or any of the pro wrestling reporters or dirt sheet guys that have that opinion that they're worried about coming on the show because it'll be an assault, an ambush, whatever. There was an interview with Mike Johnson a few years ago where Konnan had an issue with Mike. They discussed it, and then after that, there was 30 to 45 minutes of a very good discussion between those guys. It was on Rehash last week. Listen to that, and you'll get an example of what it's like to be on the show, or listen to when Meltzer used to be on. It's not what it's what I know they're afraid to come on, so this isn't going to matter.
They're convinced we're going to ambush them and make them look bad for whatever reason.
Right.
Well, that's the thing.
That's not our stilo. That's not our stilo, dude.
And this is the problem. And you made it perfect. What you said right there, the one thing you said was perfect. They're scared that we're going to make them look bad because we're very confident and we're very willing to bring people on the show and debates. They're not willing to come on. So why are you not willing to come on? Are you not as confident as we are in our opinions and everything? And my answer would be obviously not. If you're worried about, we're going to say stuff to make you look bad, and it's not but we don't do it in a disrespectful way. We're going to challenge. If we disagree with you, we're going to challenge you on what you're saying and have a conversation. And I think I think a lot of these guys are afraid, whatever you want to say, that they're going to lose the conversation because we know we don't come across as a bunch of dopes that do this. We're very inside. We know most of the people in this business. We've worked with them. We know we know them way more personally than the dirt sheet guys do. So I think I think it's problematic that we have people like us that are willing to bring these people on and have discussions, and the journalism community is not willing to do it, which should tell you this is the people that you're getting your news from. It's come on. It's challenge if you're followers of these people, tell them, hey, go on Konnan and just go show. Argue the point with them. But they won't do it. So I would say I would tell people, pressure these journalists to open up debate, have free speech. Let's come on and discuss these issues in a respectful manner. And
they won't because if they're not controlling the narrative and they're not getting over, they feel like they're being,
right.
Right.
And they'd rather be in their bubble where it's just people that like and respect their stuff and aren't going to challenge them.
Says yes to everything they do.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
We don't give a